Morning, everyone. This is Michael Gibbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers. And I'm happy to be here with you again to help you build your best cloud computing career. Maybe you desire to become a cloud architect. Maybe you desire to become a solution architect. Maybe you want to become an enterprise architect. You want to become a cloud engineer. And that's why I'm here to help you get your first cloud architect job, first solution architect job, first enterprise architect job, first network architect job, first cloud engineer job, because that's what I do. See, for the last 25 years, I've been working in technology, and I've had a chance to work for the best companies in the world. Cisco, WorldCom, which is now Verizon, Riverstone Networks, which is now Kia, Comcast, Dimension Data. I've had a chance to work for the world's greatest technology companies, and I've loved every last minute of it. You know what else I've done? For the last 20 years, I've helped people get their first tech job, get promoted in tech, increase their salaries, and build a career of their dreams. And I want to help all of you get cloud hired and get that first cloud architect job, that first solution architect job, that first enterprise architect job, that first cloud engineer job, because I want you to have the best career in the world, and that's what I do. It's what I've done forever, and I got to tell you, almost every night, Chris and I, who's on the other end of the phone, Alonzo, who's another part of my team, and obviously the rest of my team as well, we get that cloud hired message from one of our students, and literally speaking, it's like we won the lottery. Personally, I don't really need to work. I'm here exclusively because I want to help the world get hired. I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's why we're here. We come online 3 times a week answering your questions to build your cloud computing careers. We have our How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinars because we do everything we can. But we got some real exciting things to do, and I want you to ask your questions, and we're going to help you build your careers. I already saw one simple question, but we're going to help you with so many more. But I want to tell you right now, next week, we're going to run an absolutely free AWS bootcamp next week. And while it'll cover the AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate exam, if you have zero background, you don't need the cloud practitioner, you'll be able to take our course and go straight into this and be great. And we'll go far beyond this in this course. And I promise you, when we do an AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate exam, you will learn. And it's never going to be PowerPoint slides with audio. Look, in 1997, 1998, I did make a course like that with a professor, and it was about helping people in their careers. But that was 1998, and we felt guilty about it, but it was the only technology we actually had. But we will teach it like a real course, and I promise you this, you will understand. If you've ever taken a course, one of these courses with PowerPoint slides and audio, in which you hear is blah, 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 blah. And honestly, they should pay you for your time because it's torture. It's because the instructor didn't know the material well enough. They went and got a certification, and then they tried to teach you. But I've been in this field forever. First cloud I worked on was in 1996. It was the Frame Relay Cloud. Worked on the ISDN cloud. I worked on the ATM cloud. And all this stuff was pre-2000s. In 2000, I worked on the BGP cloud as specified by RFC 2547. 2001, 2002, I was working on the VPLS cloud, and I've been advising cloud people for decades, and I'm going to help you. Yeah, you didn't realize it was that old. In fact, you're going to see it every day. Yesterday, AWS just made a new press release. Big, 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 exciting news. We now allow you to check your traffic flows through Transit Gateway. And if you've been working in the cloud like me for decades, you would have known that Cisco did that with NetFlow back in 2000. And that's the key. You need to know the network and the data center for these careers. But we'll even teach a little of that in our AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate Bootcamp, because I want you all getting cloud hired. And when you guys go on an interview, I don't want you to say blah, 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 because I want you hired. When somebody asks you about it, what it is, how does the tech work, why should we use it, that's what matters, not anything else. So completely free AWS Bootcamp next week. Sign up. Tell a friend. You're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to learn so much, and it's going to be a wonderful experience. I promise you. Now, next Thursday, we're going to have our How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. And people come from around the world. We even cover cloud engineers on this. When cloud engineers show up and ask, I will tell you how to leverage your life experience. Like I came from internal medicine, and I was able to show the hiring manager that my internal medicine experience made me relevant for the job, and I'll teach you how to do it for any career you have. I will teach you exactly what the hiring manager wants. So you learn the right things and you project the right things so you can get hired. And guess what? You'll get paid a lot more than the competition as well. Because when you're armed with the knowledge of what you need to know, you can be exactly what the hiring manager desires. And it's very hard to not get hired when you're exactly what the hiring manager desires. How serious is this? Well, I've never been on an interview for which I didn't get the job. The reason is I knew exactly what the hiring manager wanted, and I made sure that I was that. My students get hired all the time. Let's talk about it. I mean, last week we had, 2 weeks ago, we had Daniel Boso. He dropped out of high school, and he's a cloud architect at one of the world's largest banks. We had people like Romanik Ivan Tamba, love the kid. Coyote, these were young men that were still in college that got hired by AWS. I've got people of all age classes in every country in the world that are getting hired as cloud architects and solution architects. And we're going to tell you what you need to know on that webinar. So join us. It's completely free. Now, something else I wanted to tell you. Sorry, I got something on my eye here. I'm going to start on my team. We're going to be posting many more educational materials on LinkedIn. We've written some articles on how to get hired in the down economy. We'll share that with you that are being published in some major magazines. I've got a series of interview questions that are going to help you master that cloud architect interview. And my team is working hard, and we've got content stocked up, many new blogs for you, and so many things to help you. So please follow me on LinkedIn. And follow Go Cloud Careers on LinkedIn, because we do two separate things. The Go Cloud Careers is more on the training things when they share, and I will show you the leadership skills, the sales skills, the executive presence, the executive training things, and the things that really boost your salary, because that's my world. I love making people make a lot more money. You know, inflation's pretty hot, but you know what? I had a student that called me yesterday. She had a job offer that was $110,000 more than her current job, and she was ecstatic. So don't let inflation bother you. Just increase your potential, increase your salary, and we're here to help you do that. So follow me on LinkedIn, and guess what? I'm going to do everything I can to help you. Now, I'd love you to bring in some questions that I can help you. I want to get you all cloud hired for that first cloud architect job, first solution architect job, first enterprise architect job, first cloud engineer job. So ask us your questions, and we will answer them. And don't be shy. I don't bite. I don't bite at all. I'm kind of like a cuddly teddy bear. So I'm soft, and that's why I do it. So please ask your questions, and let's have some fun. Up and up, good morning, everyone. Actually, while you're asking your questions, do me a favor. Give me a hashtag cloud hired, because that's what we do at Go Cloud Careers. We get everybody cloud hired. Chindu, it's so good to see you. Good morning, Cloud family. And yes, we are a Cloud family here. Videos to views, hey all, good to see you. So happy to see you this morning. Priscilla, good morning, sir. Good morning, Priscilla. I'm so thankful you're here. Digital world, how and where to learn cloud computing from basic to advanced. Well, digital world, we teach cloud computing from basic to advanced, but here's the key. What is the actual thing you would like to do in cloud computing? Because if, for example, if you said, I would like to work in the banking industry, which is effectively what you just asked me, I don't know whether you want to be a bank teller, a retail bank manager, a trader, an investment banker, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you see, digital world, we have roles like cloud architects and solution architects where we design things. There's maintenance roles, which are called sysops. There's automation roles, which are called DevOps. There's database administrator roles, which are database administrators. There's IAM architects on the cloud that do identity and access management systems. There's security architects that focus on security. There's cloud network architects that focus on networking, and I could go on and go on and on, go on digital world. So if you tell me the exact career that you want, I can help you. But how to learn cloud computing from scratch is kind of like asking, which degree should I get in college? And the key is, I can never advise someone on which degree to get until I know what their career is. And it's all the equivalent of saying, which airplane should I get on? And I'd say, you want to go to Athens, Lagos, Cape Town, Brisbane, New York, Dallas? It's the same question. So digital world, I love the fact that you're here, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to know. Now, if you would like to be a cloud architect or a solution architect, we have the world's greatest training program for it. In fact, we created a $50,000 course and discounted to the fact that it's less than $1,000. Right now, it's $800, and we do this and we keep it at that price for one reason. I know that when people take my course, they get hired. We've gotten so many people hired. It's almost every day we get somebody hired in our boutique program for cloud architects. We also have a cloud engineering program that will get you to your goals. But if you have a career other than those two, I can tell you where to learn it. But we can get you hired for cloud architect roles and solution architect roles. But please tell me the career you desire, and then I can tell you where to study, where I can learn. And if it's with us, we can help you, and it's great. And if we're not the right people for the place, I will tell you where to go anyway. All I care is that you get hired. Look, we're experts at what we do here. We're experts at getting people cloud architect jobs. We're experts at getting people solution architects jobs. We're experts at taking technology professionals, getting them promoted, and we're experts at interviewing. That's our world. Actually, we're also experts on resumes too, but that's our world because it all goes into the hiring thing. But if it's other careers, then I may point you to another direction, but all I care is that you get hired, paid more than the rest of the competition, promoted very faster, and I don't want your career being like this. I want your career taking off like a rocket ship. So ask us another version of that question. I would do anything I can to help you. Video views, happy to see you, Mike. Happy to see you too, videos to views. Love you being here. Tantrum PhD, shall cloud hired? Yes, cloud hired. That's why we do what we do. Simon, happy Friday, everybody. Yes, happy Friday, everyone. And please ask us some questions. Cairo 747, good morning to you, sir. Good afternoon. Masaro Les Otho. I'm not completely sure I understand what you mean there, but good afternoon, and we're thrilled that you're here. Digital World. Hi, I want to make a career in cloud computing, but I have found no solution for where to learn practically. I have watched videos, but get no clue. Again, please tell me which career you want, and here's the reason why. Architects like me design, present, and sell. It's not a hands-on job at all. And if what you do is spend all day hands-on, you'll never get the job, and here's the reason why. They want to know that you need to design things. And that's the key. What is the job that you actually want? Now, a cloud engineer, by comparison, is going to be configuring things, coding things, whether that be Python scripts, whether that be Bash shell scripts, for example, et cetera, et cetera. Where a cloud architect is going to design, present, and sell. And the skills of a cloud engineer are completely irrelevant to a cloud architect. And the skills of a cloud architect are completely irrelevant to, well, mostly irrelevant to the cloud engineer. So you can't be both. You can't be. Can you fly an airplane and hand out things to your patients, the passengers in the back? Of course you can't. You can either be both. So if you want to be a cloud architect, we have a cloud architect career development program. If you want to be a cloud engineer, we have a cloud engineer career development program. And when people say, Mike, I want to buy both, I say, don't. And they say, but why? I want to buy your stuff. Why won't you let me buy your stuff? And I say, look, you can buy anything you want. But if you want to design, present, and sell, and you learn cloud engineering, you're not mastering your job. You're learning somebody else's job. And imagine an airplane pilot that went to law school. Do you think that would make them better at their job? No. It would make them worse at their job. And here's the reason why. For every minute you're not training your career and you're learning somebody else's career, you're not getting better at your career. But here's the problem, digital world. You got two people. Let's say you've got two athletes that are going to compete in the sport of gymnastics. Gymnast one does gymnastics, does strength conditioning for gymnastics, does mobility training for gymnastics, does agility training for gymnastics, and trains gymnastics all day, every day. Person two trains gymnastics, but they also train to be a marathon runner. Now, if you've ever looked at a gymnast, you're going to see a strong, powerful athlete. And if you look at a marathon runner, you see a cachectic individual with muscle and wasting, et cetera, et cetera. And if that person does marathon running, they break down their strength, power, and everything. So it's the same thing here. The gymnast who wins in the Olympics is the one that trains gymnastics, not the one that trains to be a marathon runner and a gymnast in the same time. So if you want to learn both, the reality is you're probably never going to get a job in the world. I want you to think about what an architect does versus an engineer, and I'm going to tell you why the skills are so different. But first, understand this. Tonight, go outside if it's a clear night. Look at the moon and look at the sky. Now, lay on your back, look at the sky. You're going to see the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, maybe some clouds and beautiful stars, and you'll see the moon as well. That's what the architect does. The architect is the big picture person where we design, present, and sell. By comparison, the engineer program, the engineers that are out there are going to be the equivalent. Tonight, I want you to take a telescope after you looked at the beautiful sky, big, beautiful sky. I want you to take a telescope and zoom in at 200x on the moon. Now, what's going to happen? You're not even going to see the whole moon and you'll miss the entire sky. So architects need the view of the entire sky, where engineers need to now be working zoomed in on the moon. So digital world, let me tell you the difference. As a cloud architect, I design, present, and scale, and these are the skills that I need. I need networking skills, I need data center skills, I need sales skills, executive presence skills, CXO relevancy skills, leadership skills, emotional intelligence skills, the skills to respond to RFIs, RFPs, and RFQs, the skills to lead a team of 50 people, the business acumen to show the customer that your $800 million solution is going to deliver $300 million, is going to deliver $2 or $3 billion of business values. Then I have to negotiate a deal. That's what a cloud architect does. And the perfect cloud architect knows design, present, and sell. And that's what we get hired for. Now, as architects, digital world, we don't touch the technology ever. We design, present, and sell. We don't touch the tech ever. Of the last 100 or so cloud architects that I've got hired and solution architects who've got hired, after a year, they're like, Mike, I buy lunches, dinners, and drinks with the corporate credit card. I respond to statements of works, RFI. Will I ever see the tech ever? And I said, I told you in the beginning you would not. And they said, Mike, why did you teach me so much tech? I said, because you got to pass that interview, and the system design requires how things work. Now, digital world, that's what a cloud architect does. Now, a cloud engineer builds. So before I tell you what the cloud engineer does, digital world, I want you to understand a building architect. So let's say I wanted to design a hotel. And Chris from my team is an expert on making sure hotels go from concept to being built in his past life. If I wanted to design a hotel, I would hire an architect. And I'd say I want 2,000 rooms, glass elevators, beautiful waterfalls, landscaping, 16 pools, and 10 restaurants. And the architect, and we do the same job, will design a blueprint and pictures and show me what it's going to look like. But now, digital world, the architect does not build the building. I buy the architect's service, they do the design, and once I approve the design, I hire a construction crew, and they do hammering, nails, cement, etc. So the person that's designing that building, you think it would be advantageous for them to be good with a hammer? No, it'd be advantageous for them to know how to design the building, know how to make sure the building doesn't, too much wind doesn't knock it over, that the ground's dense enough. They need to know all about that building design. Now, the construction person, knock with the hammer, saw, for example, does not need to necessarily know how to design the building. But, and here's the thing, the people that are great at designing the building are usually very bad with their hands, because one's a brain concept, one's a hand concept. So there's that. So now the cloud engineer is the person that builds what the cloud architect designs. So builds what the cloud architect designs. So the cloud engineer needs to know how to build. They need hands-on experience, build it. They need configuration experience, they need it. They need Python coding experience because they're going to be automating. They need bash shell scripting experience because they're going to be scripting. They need Linux administration because they're going to be doing it all the time. They need Terraform or infrastructure as code experience. So as you can see, digital world, this job and this job are two different things. Now I'm going to tell you the other thing. Since we employers know you can't be both at the same time, when we see both on a resume, we toss the resume in the trash because we know the person doesn't know what a cloud architect is or a cloud engineer. Because you can't be both at the same time. You can be either or. So let's talk about one more thing, and then I'm going to get to the rest of the questions. When we look at a resume, we look to see, who are you? I want to know, who are you? That's all I need to know. So when I want to know, who are you, and I got a resume that's full of garbage from multiple careers, I don't know who you are, and I can't hire you under those circumstances. In fact, digital world, when we have people that have too much cloud engineering on their resume, and they go on interview, and nobody's interested in hiring them, we have to remove the engineering things from the resume, and instead of them talking about set up a EC2 instance with EBS block storage, nobody cares about for architect. We can talk about migrated 1,000 virtual machines to the cloud, which offered 32.7% savings to the customer, implemented a new collaboration platform, which improved time to develop new products by 13% and reduced error defect by X, which resulted in a net improvement to the company of this much money. That's architect stuff. Where the engineer stuff is the tech. So you can't be both. Pick one. If you'd like to be a cloud architect, we've got a cloud architect career development program that will make you a solution architect. You can see all of our students that get hired all the time. You want to be a cloud engineer, you can take our cloud engineer career development program and you can do it as well. But, you got to know what the job is and you got to train for your job and not somebody else's job. Chris, let's go to the next question. Ciao fam, cloud hired and chill with cat. That's what I do. If I'm not there, I'm playing with my cat. Simon, cloud hired, good to see you. Good morning, Dendito. Reese, cloud hired. Tantrum PhD Shell, cloud hired. Belvin Jackson, good morning all, cloud hired. While you're here, if you're liking what you're hearing, if you can give us a like, a comment, or a subscribe. We want the world to see what we do. We do so much free training for the world. G, do you travel a lot as a cloud architect? You want to be in a role that involves lots of traveling. G, I will tell you that I used to travel over 300,000 miles a year as a cloud architect, network architect, enterprise architect. Now, you don't have to travel as much. So let me tell you what will involve travel and which won't involve travel. In today's world, we can do a lot of presentations directly over Zoom, WebEx, telepresence, or something like that. A lot of it. So thankfully, you don't have to travel like I used to travel. Now, when do you need to travel? Well, in a job where you design, present, and sell, you have to speak to the people with the money. And if you really want to know what the company wants, you have to speak to the people with the leadership. So the reason CXO relevancy matters so much for the architect is you're going to be meeting with CEOs, CTOs, CIOs, CFOs, et cetera, et cetera. And for that, in-person matters. You got 10 minutes with the CEO, you can be Zoom, or you can be in person. And it makes a much better impact when someone can see you, hear you, and feel you right next to them. So we do travel for this. So we travel a lot for executive briefings. We travel a lot to, for example, let's say, G, that you had a new architecture that you had to do. And you met with a client and you looked at their business. They told you what they wanted. You looked at their financial statements. You looked at their balance sheets. You looked at what other industry analysts stated. You looked at what other organizations did in similar situations and you know what to do. Now, the reality, G, is architecture is a team sport. So you're going to go back to your company, you're going to reach out to your executive vice presidents and VPs and say, I need to borrow this person from your team, this person from your team, this person from your team, and this person from your team. So now you've got a team that you've built. Now, here's what happens when you build the team. First, you form the team. Then there's a phase of something called storming where everybody while they get there. Then there's something called norming where the team actually gets together. And then there's performing. Now, you can speed up the forming and reduce the time of the storming, which is where nobody gets anything done, by having a personal kickoff meeting, get everybody together, get to meet people, take them to some nice lunches, take them for some steaks and scotches or whatever you want to do at night, take them all golfing, play a team game, do that for a couple of days, and then go back, and then you can work remotely. So that's another case where you're going to travel. But the point is yes, there is traveling in these jobs. Now, in the beginning, for a normal junior level solution architect, regular solution architect, the travel is not going to be too bad. Now, as you get better, and as you become more CXO relevant, your business acumen comes up, your leadership acumen comes up, your sales skills comes up, your emotional intelligence comes up, your executive presence comes up, and you're now making $300,000 and $400,000 a year as a solution architect or a cloud architect instead of 150 to 200. Now you're going to be doing more traveling, and here's the reason why. At this point, you are a specialist. You are the person that comes in, parachutes in, and closes the deal. So depending upon how you want to manage your career, you can do a lot of traveling or a little traveling. But I did a lot. I had a really successful career. I don't need to work. In fact, I was retired, but I felt no choice after seeing the training that was out there. I had to come out of retirement to get everybody hired. People that took all these certification courses that are never hireable, I'm here to get them all hired. So it's up to you. There is some travel, but you can tune that. How much you want to earn, how far you want to go up in the organization will determine exactly how much travel you'll have to do. But you can still have a great job without a lot of travel. And if you want to travel, trust me, the companies would love it, because the companies, this is a position of design, present, and sell. And if you're in front of the customer's going to like you more. So they'll be more likely to buy your stuff, and they'll be happy for you. Great question, Chris. If you want to go to the next one. What's the key difference between a cloud architect and a cloud security architect? Caro, 747, you're going to hear from one of the cloud security architects that I trained on Tuesday night. His name is Delroy Bad. He's 25 years old. I got him his first security job a year ago, and now he's cloud security architect. Here's the difference, Caro. As a cloud architect, I meet with a customer and do digital transformation for their business, which means I look at their balance sheets, financial statements, etc., etc. Now, as a cloud architect, as I previously mentioned, you do not design anything on your own, ever. You meet with the customer, you come back and you say, I need to coordinate the big sky of all the people that do things. So you call a cloud network architect, you call a cloud security architect, you call an IAM architect for identity and access management, you call a big data architect, you call some potentially data scientists, you potentially have some cloud engineers and DevOps engineers in your team. And we all together, the cloud architect leads that team to design the solution for the customer. So the cloud architect builds or designs the end-to-end solution. And part of that end-to-end solution involves getting your specialists involved. So what does a cloud security architect do? They architect the security. And trust me, it's not going to be with these little silly cloud native tools that are in your basic intro certifications like an AWS Advanced Networking or an AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional. It's going to be real security. So a cloud security architect is going to be focusing on the next generation firewalls, the IDS, IPS systems, which are part of security. They're going to be focusing on the security policy. They're going to be focusing on your packet filtering or access control. They're going to be setting a strategy for what needs to occur on your virtual machines. How do you lock them down? What services need to be disabled? What kind of anti-malware protection is being used? What kind of host-based firewalls are going to be used? What kind of host-based IDS, IPS strategies are going to be used? Now, if you've got an identity access management, if you don't have an identity and access management architect, and some companies don't because they can't afford it, you'll be designing the Active Directory strategy, the federated identity management strategy as an architect. You'll be determining the encryption strategy for encryption in transit and encryption at rest. You'll be determining what to do with all these log files that come in for all your devices. Do you want to visualize them in real time, design some machine learning around it? You don't need to be a machine learning architect, but understand how you can use the logs and store it in object storage, and then hire a data scientist or a machine learning person to actually go out there and mine those logs. You're going to be determining who needs training. You're going to have to make sure that there's a training strategy in place for anti-phishing and anti-social engineering. So in one case, you focus on the whole big picture. In another case, you just focus on the security. And yes, there is such a position. There's cloud network architects, and I've gotten them hired. There's cloud security architects. I get them hired all the time. There's cloud architects, which are the generic big people. That's all it is. You know what a cloud network architect does? The networking. So yes, there is. It's really a security specialist. That's a security architect. And Caro 747, a security architect working in the data center and a security architect in the cloud do the identical job. And that's why if you're a security architect, you can just move as a cloud security architect because it's the same stuff you're going to use in both places. Victor, this channel is pure gold. Thank you so much, Victor. I am so grateful for your feedback, and please keep coming. Reverend Sama, glad to see you today. Does your program include certification or just the knowledge to get hired? Reverend, our focus is getting you hired. Now, sure, in our program, we teach the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional, and we teach the Azure Solution Architect Expert, and all you got to do is take the exam. But our focus is on getting you hired. So our training is approximately 500 hours. when you go through the courses and the classes, etc. And I'm going to tell you about 30 to 40 hours are focused on the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional and the Azure Solution Architect Expert. But it's the 470 hours that are things that are going to get you hired. So we're focused on you getting hired. That's the only thing we care about. Yes, we provide the certification, but you have to go to the exam provider to take the course. I don't think Microsoft charges for Azure exams. I know Oracle didn't or doesn't. I do believe AWS charges for the exams, and we're not AWS. So if you take an AWS exam, you'll have to pay AWS. But we get you hired, which is much more valuable. Because reference Sam, I got to tell you, I interviewed 1,000 AWS certified people that had taken just certification, and none were hireable. That's why we formed this company. And that's why we do our free certification training online. But what we do is get people hired, Reverend. And that's our world, getting people hired. Certification is not our focus. It's just something that we do along the way. And here's the thing with certification. I want you to understand the difference. Nobody will ever get hired for having a certification, except for the Cisco Certified Internet Expert. That's my favorite intro-level certification. Yes, I said intro-level. And my number is 7417, back when it was a 2-day exam when it was much harder. To me, that was my introduction to networking. After that, I got to learn. So we focus on getting you hired because certifications are the name of a service and how to configure that service. Architect is how you design the solution, present it, and sell it back to the customer. Oh, wait, name of a service and how to configure that. Architects don't configure. And I'm promising you this. If I walked into a customer and said, I got this elastic thing, this cloud-based thing, they would laugh at me, kick me out of the room, and fire me, because as an architect, I'm supposed to be a trusted advisor. Not, you got to buy this stuff, because I'm overly excited. I'm an enthusiast, and I love it. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So we'll get you what you need. Kristen, go to the next one. Up and up. For the generic cloud architect, do you think there's an advantage of the CCNA versus the Red Hat? Up and up. I'm going to make it clear. No certification will ever get you hired, ever, 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 ever. Now, the certification will help you get an interview. Now, I want you to understand what we deal with as cloud architects. We have to take the stuff from the network and the data center to the cloud, which is nothing more than a network and a data center once you strip off all the garbage branding. Take a virtual machine from the data center to a virtual machine on the cloud. Now, granted, the AWS paid billions of dollars or millions of dollars to marketing people to call it Elastic Compute Cloud. And guess what? Google paid somebody to call it a compute engine instance. Microsoft decided to just call what it is and call it an Azure virtual machine. Oracle calls it an Oracle virtual machine. So network and data center stuff. So what we do is we take the stuff from the network and the data center and migrate it to the cloud. What we don't do is care about the name of a service and how to configure that service, especially because we're always using 2 or more clouds in most cases. 87% of customers now use 2 or more clouds. 97% want to be on 2 or more clouds by the end of the year. So we have to understand that we're working with technology, not silly names of services and how to configure those services. So as a cloud architect or a solution architect, you need to understand the following things. BGP, because it's an exterior gateway protocol we're using everywhere. And you need to know eBGP, iBGP, traffic engineering, etc. Next, you need to know at least some knowledge of an interior gateway protocol, such as OSPF. Then you must understand WAN technologies, such as IPsec, SSL-based VPNs, private lines, Ethernet over MPLS, pseudo wires, software-defined networking, and SASE. Because we're going to be redesigning this stuff on the cloud, so you must know what it is. Now, after that, we need to know IP addressing, subnetting, supernetting, route aggregation, route summarization, etc. After that, we need to know NAT. One-to-one NAT, one-to-many NATs, dynamic NAT, dynamic NAT, PAT, not just like the silly NAT gateway, which is taught in the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional. We need a lot deeper than that, because companies buy other companies, etc., with overlapping addresses. Then you need to know switching. And from the switching perspective, you need to understand VLANs, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, ether channel, port channel, link aggregation groups, etc., etc. And then you need to know DNS, DHCP, ARP, proxy ARP, etc. And that covers most of the networking things that you need. Now, a lot of those things are in the CCNA, but again, the CCNA is how to configure them, not how to design them. And you're a designer. So the CCA will have more utility than the Red Hat certified engineer, but still understand it's nowhere close to enough knowledge, but it will help you get an interview. Now, next, a cloud architect needs to understand servers and server virtualization, containers and container orchestration, storage, area networks, block storage, object storage, file storage, and not this intro-level nonsense that's in the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional. I mean, go to the Dell EMC website and read 400 or 500 pages of block storage, object storage, and file storage, because you can't design what you don't understand. Then you need to understand databases and what to use and how they work. How do you scale a relational database? What kind of databases can you use on multiple clouds? Because you're not going to be using DynamoDB or Microsoft Cosmos DB or Google's Bigtable. These are excellent databases, but they're proprietary, which means they don't work on multi-clouds. So when it comes to needing a NoSQL database, you need to know what kind of use. If your write traffic's heavy, maybe you use Apache Cassandra. If you're more heavy read traffic, you may need to know, wait, I can use MongoDB. And now we're getting into security things that you need to know. And we're not going to be using WAF and all these other services if it matters in a big enterprise. We may integrate a few of them. We're going to be dealing with next generation firewalls and IDS IPS systems and VPN concentrators. So when people say which certifications, and it's like, none of this stuff is covered in your certifications, none of it. And then we have to present and we have to sell. Respond to RFIs, Ps, Qs, lead large teams, do an ROI model, etc. So when people are focused on certifications, I can tell you somebody that's never getting hired, because none of us hiring managers care if you're certified. None. We care about the following. Can you do the job? Can we trust you? Do you know what you know and know what you don't know? Are you energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate about the work? What else do we care about? Will you raise the energy in the room, or are you going to be the negative Nelly that makes everybody unhappy? Are you willing to go above and beyond, or are you going to this interview saying, I want to be paid this, I want unlimited paid time off, and I don't want to work very hard? And are you a team player? So we care about that. So the interview, the certifications only get you an interview. They do nothing more than that. So what you need is the certification to get the interview. It'll help you get the interview, although we've gotten people hired with 0 certifications and 0 background. But the certifications do help you get the interview, so we like them. What gets you hired is your knowledge. Certifications are like icing on the cake. If you don't have the cake, the certifications are meaningless. But the cake is the knowledge, your skill competency, and all those things I just told you. Wrap that with some icing on the cake, and it makes the cake look better and taste sweeter. So keep that in the back of your mind, and you'll be good. You'll be good to go. What would be the daily tasks of the cloud security architect? You'd be attending lots of meetings. You'd be periodically taking your customer out for lunches, dinners, and drinks. You'd be writing thought leadership documents. You'll be delivering presentations. You'll be helping the sales team sell. You'll be giving strategic guidance to your customers. You'll participate in executive briefings. You'll be writing up security policies or recommending a design of some security policies. You'll write up documents for companies on how to secure their systems, along with drawing the pictures with it. And you're going to be selling. All of us architects design, present, and sell. We don't touch the tech. We design the tech. You might be leading a proof of concept. And what does this mean if a cloud security architect leads a proof of concept? It means they bring in some security engineers to go do it, and they lead the project. Yes, all these architect jobs involve design, present, and sell. So that's the day-to-day. Going to meetings, traveling to customers, selling stuff, responding to RFIs, RFPs, RFQs, meaning like requests for information, requests for price, requests for proposals, requests for pricing, et cetera, those kind of things you're going to be doing. Requests for information, requests for proposals, requests for quotes. I have so many acronyms in my head, I got to think about them sometimes. And I've done millions of these, or at least thousands of these in my career. Traveling to client sites, lots of schmoozing, lots of baby kissing, and you'll get paid really well for this. And you'll never be stuck behind a computer. Best job in the world. I did network architecture for a world. No, the network architect is the cloud network architect. It's no different, same job. Chris, you can go to the next one. And please ask us your questions in the chat box. We want to help you. Hello, Mike. What do I need to do to study to get my CISSP cert for networking? Well, CISSP is a security cert. It's not a networking cert. And also for data center on getting my AWS and Azure. Your goal is to be a cloud architect, and I really understand what you said is the deal, design, present, and sell. Chris, go back to the first question. What do I need to do to study to get your CISSP? Well, CISSP is for security and data center. So here's the thing. It's not about getting certifications. I don't know how to say this any other way. You can get all the certifications in the world and you will not be competent. You need the knowledge to do the job, and you don't get it with certifications. Certifications will never get you hired. What do you need to do to pass the CISSP book? Buy the book from the ISC2 and read the book and pass it. It's a super easy exam. I did it in 5 days. In fact, I worked at a company, and they brought in some people that were training us, and we all took the test on the 6th day. In those days, it was a paper test, and it was on a Saturday and a Sunday. The way the company scheduled it was they had the people come in from Monday through Friday, and then we all took our paper-based, exams, Scantron forms in those days, and it was it. So that's all you need to do is read the book. Now, where do you get the competency to do the job should really be your question. Because you can get all the certifications in the world, and guess what? It's not going to help you. And I'm going to tell you what, if you've got more than 2 certifications, it's going to lower your salary and make it harder to hire you. I have more than 2 certifications. You won't know it because I don't put it on my resume, and here's the reason. Now I'm a $500,000 architect. I put 4 certifications, and I'm a $180,000 architect because I look like a techie and not a digital transformation specialist. So where do you get the knowledge? I'm going to tell you right now. Either you take our course, which is about a single day's pay, and we will teach you everything, what you need to know about security, networking, cloud, data center, leadership, sales, interviewing, presentation skills, resume building, all of it, even how to negotiate a higher salary. Or here's what you do. You go to Cisco and you read. Maybe you buy the book Internet Routing Architecture from Bassam Halabi, Routing TCP/IP Volumes 1 and 2 from Jeff Doyle, a book on Stevens TCP/IP. Now, that's going to give you the networking information you need. It's also going to be about 10,000 pages of reading and cost you about $250. But that'll give you the networking knowledge that you need. Then what you could do is, again, take our course because it's going to be a lot easier. Or you can go to the VMware website, the KVM website, the QEMU website, the Citrix Zen website, and read about 1,000 pages on how does virtualization work. Then you need to know containers and container orchestration. So again, go back to VMware, go to Docker, go to Kubernetes, go to OpenShift. And again, it's going to be another 1,000 pages of reading. Then you need to understand storage area networks because you're going to architect them. So you can go to Dell EMC and IBM, a couple hundred pages, and you will understand storage. Now, databases, you need to understand them and how to scale them. How do you get that knowledge? You go to the Oracle website, the Microsoft SQL website, the MySQL website, the Postgres website, the MariaDB website, if you're not with us, and you read. And then when you're done that, another 1,000 or 2,000 pages, you read the documentation for MongoDB and Apache Cassandra, and then that documentation, you'll learn how to architect it. So you'll understand how it works. And then when you're done that, you need to understand networking. You need to understand security. So here you can go to the Fortinet website, and you can go to the Palo Alto website, and you can go to the Checkpoint website, and you can go to the Cisco website, again, a couple more 1,000 pages, and you understand firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, etc. This knowledge is not covered in the CISSP or any certification, and this is the knowledge for the job. So buy the book from ISC2. Read it. Go take the exam. It's a simple exam. Have the exam, which will help you get an interview, but do the other stuff I told you to get hired, or take our Cloud Architect Career Development Program, and we'll teach you everything you need to know. And what we do, because we're architects, and because I've been an architect for 25 years, What my team does is whittle through and I just gave you 20,000 pages of reading to do. We take that 20,000 pages and we whittle it down to exactly what you need to know. How do we know what you need to know? You know what I've done in my career? Gotten people hired. You know how I've done it? Well, in the beginning of my career, before I got my first tech job, I asked 50 recruiters what they wanted in the perfect employee. Got hired in my first interview. Actually, I've never been on an interview where I didn't get hired because I know what the hiring manager wants. Do you know what I've done, Victor, in the last 25 years? Every recruiter that reaches out to me, which is many per day, and every hiring manager that I've spoken to, which is thousands, I ask them, what do you want in the perfect employee for this job? What do you want in the perfect employee for this job? And I also ask them, what's your biggest challenge is hiring people? And they say, I got people with a gazillion and one certifications that know nothing. I don't want a paper certified person. I want a knowledgeable person. They say people come in and they're lazy. They say, I can't work with the person because I don't like their attitude. They say the person's communication skills aren't good enough. Those are the things that get you hired. So I want you to get hired. So that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. 2 certifications. CISSP would be great for if you're interested in security. And 1 cloud certification. The Azure Solution Architect Expert, the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional, or the Google Professional Cloud Architect. Nothing else. Nothing else. Your resume then needs to focus on digital transformation and business transformation and the impact of things that you've done, how your back life, whether it be in something else, makes you prepared, communication skills, leadership skills, sales skills. That's what we do. And when people focus too much on certifications and they don't learn the real thing, they're unhirable. So I beg you, please learn the skills for your job so that a year from now you're not still working on certification stuff. I want you hired. And here's the thing, you'll get paid so much more if you have the right skills, and you'll get hired more. Morning, Mike. Between an architect and engineer, which role is in more demand? So Victor, I'm going to give you 2 sides of this. Generally speaking, and not now, but generally speaking, there's more engineering positions than architect positions. And here's the reason why. Architect positions are leadership and management positions, and you generally need more worker bees than you do managers. Now, right now, it's a little different. As we come into some economic times that are tough, sky-high levels of inflation, some layoffs, organizations are trying to do more with less. Here's what happens. When it comes time for layoffs and when we come into hiring phrases, who gets hired? People that generate money. So architects generate money and engineers cost money. So in a down economy, always you want to be on the sales side, which is an architect. So think of it this way. Here's what's going to occur if the economy goes into a recession. I'm not saying we will, but if it occurs, here's what always happens. The businesses lay off the expenses and they hire people to generate revenue. So even in a rough economic times, organizations will hire architects and salespeople because revenue solves all when you're dealing with a company. Who gets laid off? Well, operations people, marketing people because they're not directly related to sales, back-end engineering, software developers, and cloud engineers, except well, cloud engineers are safer, but still they'll be laid off, and I'll tell you why. So we bring in the people that bring in the money, and then we tell our engineering team, work twice as hard because we can't afford anybody. And the companies truly can't afford anybody in the rough times. So they bring in architects, design, present, and sell because they need more money, and then they double and triple overwork their engineers. Now, if it gets really bad, Victor, I want you to truly understand this. In years past, when we had to go to the network in the data center, you couldn't really get rid of your engineers because you needed somebody to be physically there. But then the cloud came around. When the cloud came around, you could remote access your systems from anywhere in the world. Now, my architects need to be customer facing, so generally speaking, they're closer to the customer. But it doesn't matter where my coders are. And the reality is for $20 an hour in India, I can get a better coder than I can for $60 an hour in America because of arbitrage. I can get a cloud engineer in Africa that's exceptional at a lower cost than I can in San Francisco. And what happens is in rough economic times, engineers get laid off, programmers get laid off, back-end people get laid off, Admins get laid off because we don't need cloud admins anymore anyway. We can use one good DevOps engineer to do 50 people's cloud admin jobs with infrastructure as code. So it's this back-end expense stuff that you don't want to be in tough economic times. So in tough economic times, architects are in much greater demand. Under normal economic circumstances, we need 3 engineers for every architect. But I got to tell you, there are so many architect jobs, I could get people hired every single day for the next 20 years and still not fill them. There's that many. I mean, there's so many of them, and here's the reason. Organizations have data centers, and trust me, nothing performs as good as the data center, and also nothing is as secure as the data center because we can build a better data center than a cloud. Cloud's just a virtual data center. But, big but, the cloud is more agile, and in many cases, the cloud can be cheaper with the right architecture. So when organizations need to cut costs, big-blooded data center filled with a bunch of $300,000 CCIEs and network architects, etc., go to the cloud, cut my staff by 50%. Keep that in the back of your mind, and you'll understand why right now it's better being an architect. But the cloud engineer is still a relatively safe position because here's the thing. As people go to the cloud, it's cheaper than the data center. So I still think the cloud engineer is still good in a bad economy, but I wouldn't want to be a programmer. I would not want to be a cloud admin. I would not want to be a sysops person because those people are going to be gone, outsourced to another country. But I think you'll have more success in a down economy as an architecture career. And I will tell you this, in my career, I've had lots of good jobs, and I've done some back-end engineering stuff too, but I knew when layoffs are coming to go sell. So I always found myself in the sales roles. And once I learned that, I never left sales. I love sales. Architecture roles bring in money, much more secure, and they pay much more too. And not just a little more, at the high level, 2 and 3 times more. But both careers are great. So how do you do what you need to do? You need to think about what you like. If you like talking to people, if you like delivering presentations, if you like leading teams and you like sales, be an architect. If you like to code, if you like to configure, if you like to play with the tech and be hands-on, be an engineer. Victor, you want to hear a secret? I've never been laid off in any job I've ever been in, and only one of my students has ever been laid off, and you get an over 6-figure settlement and you get a $300,000 job within a week. So here's the thing. When you're an expert at your job, Victor, and not everybody else's, and mind you, it's rare to find someone that's exceptionally good at their job. It's easy to find somebody that's a jack of all trades, master of none, and knows everybody else's job. They're the ones that get laid off. The best of the bunch, they never get laid off anyway. So keep that in the back of your mind. How else can you control it? If you want to be an engineer and still have a great career under almost any circumstances, develop your leadership skills, your emotional intelligence, your executive presence, because people will see you as bigger and stronger. Work on your likability factors and work on your attitude. Those people never get laid off or almost never get laid off and always get hired and get paid more than everybody else. Great question, Victor. Chris, you can go to the next one. Videos to views. How long do you think it would have the basic skills to enter cybersecurity? It depends on you, videos to views. So I went from internal medicine to working as a senior network engineer in 6 months. 6 months later, I was a CCIE and I was a lead architect for a team. But that was me. I have a student, his name is Delroy Bad, and you're going to meet him on Tuesday. And he'd been doing some studying on his own for a little while and went on like 20, 30 interviews. Nobody was willing to hire him. Came with me. Within a month, he had his first security job. He took a few of my classes, and my first class, and there's not a single day where we don't go deeper than CISSP level security in every architecture class I have, because you need that for any kind of architect work. And so he attended a few of those classes, and it was like a light bulb went off, and he said, "Oh, this is how I secure my enterprise. I do this. It clicked, and he went on his first interview. In those days, he scheduled about 3 practice interviews, and poof, he was hired. Now, a year later, He's working as a cloud security architect for one of the best resellers in the world, value-added resellers. So it took him a year to go from nothing. And within a month or two, he had a very high-paying job. And within a year, he's now working as a cloud security architect with a very good job. And you'll hear his story on Tuesday night. So it's up to you, but you could do it in 6 months if you have focused training. But if you're trying to do what everybody else is, a little this, a little this, a little this, a little this, I'm going to tell you, in 10 lifetimes, you won't have enough to really be good at your job. So when it comes to being good, focus exclusively on your skills. Become incredible at your skills. And videos to views. One of the first things we do with our students is help our students build a plan. Because here's the thing, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. The right plan will get you to the top years faster than somebody else who may never get there on their own. So what you want to do is you want to take your dream, turn that into a goal, turn that into a plan. And the plan needs to be approved by experts like us or me or my team. Make sure that it's right. Or hire somebody like that, one of the two, with experience and capabilities that's already been leading and hiring people. Then take that plan and build and execute on that plan. Go to action on that plan. And trust me, along the plan, you'll have obstacles. And here's what you do. You obliterate those obstacles. You fight to win. Obstacle comes, you take a sledgehammer and you crush that obstacle. You take the next step. You see another obstacle, now you take a sword and slash that obstacle. And then you get a bigger obstacle and you hire some explosives and you blow up that obstacle. And then you win. So believe in yourself, learn the skills for your jobs and nobody else's, and win. And when you're cloud hard, please tell me, because or security hard, please tell me, because I got to tell you, I love when somebody tells me they got hired. I grew up really poor, part of life. And when I moved into good jobs, it changed everything for me. I was able to support people that I truly cared about. And when students get hired and it changes their life, it makes me so happy. So thank you so much for your question. Now you know what to do. If you guys are having a good time, can you like and subscribe so the algorithm can know that other people should see this? Because we want to help everybody that wants a good job get hired. Is it better to go for a cybersecurity role as a remote job or in person? Doesn't make a difference. If it's your first job, you take whatever you can get. And then once you get that, then you can do whatever you need to in the future. Excellent question. Don't be too picky on your first job. You can always leave it. Also, your next question will entail on the designing part as a CA. I really want to know what you have to do in the aspects of designing. Well, Victor, if you were to design a building, what would go into it? What you have to do, which goes into design, is as follows. You need to ask the business, what are their challenges? So if a business says we need more sales, what can you as the architect do about it? If the business says our employees aren't as productive as they need to be, you need to know what to do about it. Will a communications and collaborations platform work? Is there some software that you can do to get people talking better to each other? When a business says our tech costs are too high, what can you do about it? When a business says I need to do whatever it is, that's what goes into design. What problem are you trying to solve? So all architectures follow this model, which is why really you need training to learn how to become an architect, because it's a way of thinking. Architect thinking, by the way, is exactly opposite of engineering thinking. And a lot of times when people become engineers and want to become architects, it's very challenging for them because they're thinking on how to do engineering, which is the exact opposite of how to do architecture. And we train so many engineers, and we have to teach them how to rethink, which sometimes takes almost as much time as it takes to take somebody with no experience and get them hired, because you don't have to teach the wrong thinking. So then you've got the problem that you need to try and solve. The next thing that you need to do is as follows. You need to ask department heads what's going on in their business. You need to ask the technical team leads what's going on in their business. And then you need to figure out what the technology currently looks like, so you know what their technical capabilities are. Because maybe, Victor, the solution is to take their data center and install a Nutanix or OpenStack cloud, and you're done with it, and that's all they need. or maybe they need 2 clouds or 3 clouds. And what determines that? The business needs. Victor, some businesses, in a downtime cost $10 million. Those people can't be on a single cloud. So the business will tell you what you need, and then you ask people, and now you know what's going on. Then what you have to do is you have to determine what have other organizations and similar solutions done. So now the research and reconnaissance phase goes in. What's been done in the banking industry to help in a similar situation? What's been done in the transport, retail? What lessons can you learn? Then what you need to do is determine your optimal end state. And here's basically your business architecture, which is people are going to communicate to each other this way. We need to have this new sales system, which is related to a new website, which has this feature. We need this communications and collaboration technology platform, and you draw it out in little boxes. The next thing that you need to do is you need to build the team. So then you use your sales skills to go to the management in your company, and you determine which people you need to borrow from which departments to help you design it. And then, Victor, you need to call the people that also can help you. You'll call Cisco. You'll call Microsoft. You'll call Palo Alto. You'll call Fortinet. You'll call Dell EMC. You'll call F5 and get their input to the solution, because you're going to be using their stuff too. And then when you finalized it, you're going to be writing up a document, actually 3 documents. One document will be 2 pages for the executives. One will be about 20 pages for the management team. One is going to be hundreds of pages, and you're going to have help writing it. And that's going to be for the technical team that's going to have to build this. Then after that, you're going to respond. Then after that, you're going to present it to the customer, sell it back to the customer. So when people say, I want a reference architecture, Mike, and I say, no. And they say, why? What did you do for this bank? And I say, this bank and this bank have different business requirements. And therefore, the architecture that works for one company will destroy another company, but it'll help another company. When and how bad this is, I'm going to tell you right now. I did a lot of healthcare architecture work, meaning I designed systems for healthcare organizations. Now, why was I really good at it? And why were my results so good? Because I used to practice internal medicine, and I was a nurse before that in my old career. So I had that. So when I went into a hospital, I'd ask the chief nursing officer, the CEO, the CFO, the CIO, the CTO, the chief medical informatics officer. I'd walk around and ask the nurses how they did their job in that specific hospital. I looked at their current applications, their systems, all of it. And then I'd sit and I'd observe. I'd watch the workflow. And I would design a solution. The customer would say, medical errors went down. We're saving on our nursing costs. This is great, Mike. I love it. I love it. I love it. Victor, the rest of the world didn't understand this process of design. And they focused on the tech. Didn't think about the architecture. They were looking for reference architectures, et cetera, didn't understand the business. Here were the results. My hospitals did better. And I'm going to tell you, when the tech focused instead of the transformation, medical errors prior to digital transformation, prior to electronic health records, et cetera, in the US were the 5th leading cause of death. You heard me. Medical errors were the 5th leading cause of death. There were 98,000 of them a year. Now, reference architectures, not real architectures later, tech, know how to focus on digital transformation. Medical errors became the 3rd leading cause of death in the US. Wait, 5th leading cause of death on paper, where the nurses were placing bets. What do you think's on this prescription? After the tech, 3rd leading cause of death. Medical errors went from 98,000 per year to 250,000. Whoa! 2.5 times the problems after the tech. And that's why a good architect does and starts at the business, which is why if you don't have business acumen, meaning the knowledge of business, you can never design an architecture. And that's why solution architects and cloud architects are 50% executive and 50% technology. And that's why companies don't want engineers to be architects. Engineers are amazing people. They're the smartest people in the industry, truth be told. They're the people that do all the work and get the least credit. I love engineers. But engineers need their skills. Architects need their skills. And that's what goes into design. In our program, we teach design from beginning to end. But that's design. It's a great question, Chris. Want to bring in the next one? Kim Davis, you're a huge fan of my SAE boot camps. Do I have any plans on doing another SAE Pro boot camp? Kim Davis, probably not, possibly. I know we did an Azure Solution Architect Expert Bootcamp. Who knows? One day in the future, we might do one for Google as well. Who knows? We possibly will, probably will. But our AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate Bootcamp is almost the Certified Solution Architect Professional at the same time. We cover so many things that are not in the SAA, that are in the Solution Architect Pro, that it's almost there right now. Could we do it? Should we do it? Maybe, but you got to remember our focus is on getting people hired, and our focus is on promotion of the skills that get people hired, which include leadership skills, sales skills, executive presence, communication skills, network and data center skills, design skills, etc., etc., etc. Good question, though, Kevin. But if we do a Google one, it'll be the Professional Cloud Architect one, if we do it. Does the training from Go Cloud Careers be sufficient to attempt a CCSP or CISSP? Well, I had a student that passed the CISSP in about 3 weeks of my program, but I always encourage the people to buy the book from the manufacturer because they make the exam. She was in my program for 3 weeks. She took the CISSP and she said, Mike, oh my God, you taught 80% of it as part of your daily training for everybody. And I said, yes. I don't recommend the CCSP. I recommend the CISSP, and here's the reason. Anything that's cloud related right now, everybody knows is too basic. You just know. And what happened is we have passing guarantees, 99.99%. And we find people that are doing 10 certifications and know absolutely zero. So because of that, certifications really lost their value. So much prefer the CISSP. And that way, whether it's a hybrid cloud, a data center, or a cloud, you're covered. Because it's all the same thing. Identical security you do in the data center or the cloud. Now, the cloud does have these native security features, but you won't be using them because your customer isn't going to demand real security. Real security comes from security providers. Palo Alto, Fortinet, Checkpoint, Cisco. That's all they do. Well, Cisco does more, but these other companies, they are experts in their field. And yes, it is very sufficient for these things. But still, do a practice test and still read the book. Why? They wrote the test. That's their focus. But what we will do is we'll make sure you get hired, which is what we do. That's our focus. Hello, Mike. What's the best advice you'll give for someone transitioning for a different field? Accounting in my case. So, Terrence, I'm going to tell you a lot of experience in this. I came from medicine. I will also tell you, I get people hired. I had a psychologist on my team who just got hired as a cloud architect. She's special. For example, what you need to do is as follows. In accounting, there's a lot of things that you do. So I want you to understand what a cloud architect does, and we'll compare that to an accountant. Now, I don't know whether you're a tax accountant or you're the kind of accountant that reads financial statements, et cetera, and does auditing. It really doesn't matter, Terrence. Here's what a cloud architect does. Mr. Customer, could you tell me about your business? Then the cloud architect brings in cloud engineers. They baseline the organizations. Then the cloud architect makes a design, makes a diagnosis, makes a design. An accountant does something very similar. You call your accountant and you say, I need to file my taxes. And they ask you a bunch of questions. And then they say, can you give me your balance sheet and financial statements for the year? Can you give me your receipts, etc.? The accountant then looks at all that and analyzes the data. They make a diagnosis, and then they create a plan. Well, you can divert some money over here. Next year, I recommend you contribute to this before the end of the year. Next year, I recommend you structure it like this. It's the same job. So, Terrence, and I get people from accounting backgrounds and these backgrounds hired constantly in our Cloud Architect Career Development Program. What you have to do is as follows. You have to show the employer that you have relevant experience. And if you come to our our free how to get your first cloud job webinar, I will teach you how to do this, and you can ask me about it on Zoom. But really, it's about showing this. So on my first job, and it was in networking, but it didn't matter. And my previous job was internal medicine. When the hiring manager said, Mike, how do you go from medicine to tech? I said, very simply, Devendra. I said, here's what I do in medicine. I said, I meet with a patient. I ask them a lot of questions. What makes things better? What makes things worse? Then I examine the patient. After I examine the patient, I make a diagnosis and I build a treatment plan. Now, as a network engineer, what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be asking the customer what they need. Then what am I going to be doing next? I'm going to be looking at their network. What's their network look like? Is it performing well? What's the packet flow? Is it congested? Are the CPUs, the routers working? Are the routing tables debated? I'm going to be examining the available evidence. Then I'm going to make a hypothesis or a diagnosis, and then I'm going to go implement what I found. And the hiring manager is like, yeah, wow, you really are experienced. So the key is the following, Terrence. First, and here's where most people go wrong, they don't know the job. They look at a job description which is completely inaccurate. I'll tell you why the job descriptions are absolute worthless and garbage, and why I've never been on a job interview where I had more than 10 to 15% of the things that are on the description, and I got hired on every single interview. So the next thing that you need to do is, because time is limited, and Terrence, if you wanted to actually be a competent architect and a competent engineer, like a cloud engineer, and a competent DevOps engineer, and a competent software developer, and a competent cloud architect, it would take you 10 lifetimes. So when we see certifications in all these 40 different careers, we hiring managers laugh and we say, can't hire that person. They don't even know what they don't know. So I want you to do the following. Get 2 professional certifications, because that's going to help you get the interview. Learn how to position your strengths. Take the benefits from your job. Accountants are highly analytical people. Attention to detail. So you want to show that hiring manager that the attention to detail that you have for accounting will help with the attention to detail with architecture, so you won't miss details. You want to say that, my job involved a lot of sales. I had to go sell our accounting services to the businesses. And they're going to say, yeah, good experience, some more experience. You want to pick up all the attributes from your job. Plan designing, suggesting things, consulting, and show, in my new job, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. See, they're the same things. And by doing that, Terrence, you show the employer that you understand the job. And then master your job. Don't get 10 different associate certifications. It's going to make you look unhireable. Get the professional one in your field and move on and learn the skills for your job. So I want you to understand the difference. What you take when you take a CPA exam and what you do as an accountant are very, very different. So what you were taught in college doesn't have a lot of what you actually do in reality either. So that's the difference between training, which is basically just skills teaching, and the kind of education that we provide. We teach the job. I like to say train the way you fight, and here's the reason I'm a martial artist. Years ago, I took these taekwondos and all beautiful movements, and I took Shadokan and Kempo. They were great martial arts. And then I learned Krav Maga, which is an Israeli style. I had about 15 years of experience. I did some sparring with someone that had 2 years Krav Maga experience in Israel. And in less than a minute, he had delivered a virtual neck strike, an eye gouge, and a groin strike. And I couldn't even hit him once because I was in too much pain from the theoretical strikes. And I went, oh my God, now I get it. And when I asked him how he was so good, he said, look, you do this and this and all these katas and all this stuff is great. Over time, it makes you better. He said, we just train exactly the way we fight. And that's why we don't have to waste years and years and years to get to the goal. So train exactly the job. And that's what my students do. In every class, we design architectures, big architectures from my life's experience. So they know what it is, how to design for real. And they don't ask me for a reference architecture, which they know the customer wants. They interview me as if I'm the CEO. And then they ask the business questions they need to, so they have to design it. And after they design it, I make them present it back and sell it to me, just like they would in real life. Train the way you fight. Do that, you'll get hired. So Terrence, good luck. Welcome to this world. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful world. I love when people go from one career to another. You can do it, and you'll be highly successful. Put your energy, your enthusiasm, passion behind it, and become successful. We'd love to train you to get your cloud hired. If not, keep coming to our channel. We always provide a lot of free training. I just want everybody that wants a job to get a job. Welcome to our world. Welcome. You're going to love it here. Chris, you can go to the next one. Hello, Mike. What would I need to move 2 data centers to the cloud so I don't spend too much on hardware? Tantrum, This is about a session on cloud careers. If you'd like to ask that question, this is the kind of things that we teach in our Cloud Architect Career Development Program. That's what we do. We teach people how to become cloud architects in the Career Development Program. So if you'd like us to train you on how to do that, join our Cloud Architect Career Development Program. But right now we're discussing careers, not how to do stuff. Iqbal, hello, Mike. How do I master in cloud or any IT technology? Well, please tell me the job that you like, because there's hundreds of different kinds of job on the cloud, and there's thousands of different kinds of technology. And if you really wanted to master the cloud in every dimension of it, if you were a vampire and could live for like 3,000 years, you might get there. But you can get to, in 6 months, to be good enough at your job to get hired, and 10,000 hours later, doing one small job, you can be an expert in your field. So here's the difference between an expert and everybody else. It takes a minimum of 10,000 hours of doing one thing to be an expert or a master. Minimum. So for me, I have 10,000 hours plus of BGP experience. If any of you guys took my BGP session, and if not, you can watch it on our YouTube channel yesterday, you'll see that everybody understood BGP. They didn't hear blah, 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 like you see in a certification exam. Because here's what a certification provider does. They get 7x AWS certified, and then they teach all these courses, which they don't know anything about. By comparison, I spent 25 years in networking. Now, do you think in networking, I did this kind of networking, this kind of networking, this kind of networking? No. I focused my first 10 years on routing only, just routing, not even switching. And in that first 10 years, I focused on 3 protocols: BGP, OSPF, and pimp sparse dense mode. And pimp sparse mode. Nothing else. Nothing else. Mike, do you know how voice works? No, go to that expert. Mike, do you know how video works? Yeah, I do, because I do PIM. Do you know how this works? Nope, go to find that expert. Mike, what do you know about wireless? I've never touched wireless. Go to this expert, because I was a master at my field. So it takes focus, focus, focus. And to master anything, it takes at least 10,000 hours to master something. So tell me what you'd like to learn. I can tell you how to do it. But if you're mastering in cloud, unless you're a vampire and live 3,000 years, you can't master cloud, but you can master your domain. You can master architecture. You can master engineering. You can master leadership skills. You can master sales skills. I don't care what you want to do. That's how you master anything. So tell me your specific things, and I'll tell you how to master it. Chris, we can go to the next one. Actually, before we go there, let me tell you, on Thursday, I want to invite you to our completely free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar. And on this webinar, we'll do lots of cool stuff. I'll tell you how to leverage your life experience like I just did for the accountant. I will tell you exactly what hiring managers dream about and the perfect employees you get hired when you go on an interview. I will tell you what needs to be on your resume. For example, so, you can get the interview, which is going to get you hired. I will teach you how to skip those pesky HR people that want to auto-reject you because you don't have experience, and get your resume directly in the hands of the hiring manager, so you can get hired. So join us. It's completely free. Felon Jackson, the development course is 16 weeks. Are you able to complete it before 16 weeks? It depends on you, Felon. And I'm going to be clear. You may not be able to finish it in 16 weeks either. It may take you 8 months or a year, and we don't care. We'll keep you in the program. So I have had multiple people get through in less than 16 weeks. I had Joe Millen. He was a CCI like me, but we trained him in 3 weeks. He was a senior solutions architect at AWS. I had a Richard Afukar who came to me. 3 weeks later, he was hired as a technical account manager by AWS. I had Delroy Batt with me, and 16 weeks later, he was hired as a cloud architect. I think it was my student Sean recently, Sean Polaris. He was with me for about 2 months, and he got his first cloud architect job. But it's really dependent. And it's going to be dependent upon a few things. How good your technical skills are and how fast you can learn them, and how quickly you pick up on the leadership skills, the sales skills, the executive presence, emotional intelligence, ROI modeling, etc. So our program is very intensive, and that's why we're able to do it. Could you do it in less than 16 weeks? Maybe. I have had people that have done it. Is it realistic for most people? No. When I created this course, I intended it being on 16 weeks, and I was getting people that had backgrounds in technology, networking and data center people, because they were the people that I knew, and that was just transitioning into the cloud. And as we grew bigger and started to get more people from more backgrounds, we expanded our program, and guess what? We are wildly successful in getting people with no cloud background. You can see like Romanik Ivan Tambo was one of them that was hired by AWS. His last job was a food server. You can hear from Daniel Bosa, whose last job was working at Nordstrom selling shoes. And you'll see lots of people like this. Jeffrey West, who was a student of mine, he's an amazing cloud architect, was doing some kind of geospatial GIS engine, which was totally unrelated to the field. And these people got through pretty quickly, but others take longer. Here's the thing. We don't kick anybody out. We let you stay in the program for a full year until you're hired. Why do we do that? I want to know that all my students get hired. I don't want anybody buying my course and not getting hired. We're not a certification mill that doesn't care about our students, where we have a Slack channel and the students Slack their instructor and say, I can't get hired, and they pause their notifications because they don't want to hear from them after they've convinced them they needed 4 certifications more, and they didn't get hired after wasting a year of their life, where they could have made $160,000 as a cloud architect, and they lost it by studying other people's jobs. So can you complete it before 16 weeks? Possibly. Have others done it? Yes. Will you be able to do it? I don't know. I like to underpromise and overdeliver, but I do know you do our work, we can get you hired. If you do everything according to our requirements, we should be able to get you hired like we have so many others. That I do know. And that's my concern. Can we deliver for you? Can we change your life? Can we give you a better career? And if you look at the videos of our students, they tell us, and everyone, this program changed my life. It improved my relationships. It improved my thinking. It improved my energy, my passion. So we're talking about digital and life transformation and career transformation. Can you do it in 16 weeks? Maybe, but I don't know. But maybe. We don't hold back how long you need to take. You have up to a year. And we don't hold back how fast you can do it. All we care is that you get hired. Chinchilla. Hi, Mike. Good afternoon from Cameroon. Hi, in Cameroon. We even have an employee in Bamenda, Cameroon. And we do so much work in Cameroon ourselves. You find interest in networking and cloud security. Can I please advise you on what path to take in studying? Well, I advise you to determine whether you like networking or security, because I want you to learn your job, not somebody else's. So if you're interested in cloud security, you could do the following. We could train you, which would be, and you can also participate in our group, Cloud Heroes Africa. Right now, there's 50 people from my company, as well as my really close friend, Alphonse Shang, Samoa Shang, and other people that I really know and like. And we actually run a program called Cloud Heroes Africa together. It's led by my friend Samoa Shang, Alphonse Shang. The group actually gave me this really cool name, Nugafor. I need to put it in my LinkedIn profile because I'm so proud to have it. And when it was given to me, I was just so eternally grateful. And they teach basic cloud training. And what happens is a lot of people from my team help and volunteer to assist in this Cloud Heroes Africa. And then the students attend as many boot camps as mine and as they can for free. And that helps a lot of people that are over there. But if you would like to learn networking, I'd suggest this. Figure out networking by this. And here's the good news. For networking, certifications can actually help you. Now, the CCNA, generally speaking, is not enough, but you could do the CCNA and you can use a lab simulator to get through these things. You don't need to buy the routers. And then you could do the CCNP. And in that Cisco Certified Network Professional, you're going to learn a lot. Now, if it's networking what you need to do, and you've done the 2 networking certifications that I gave you, then what I need you to do is really learn networking. So when you do a CCNP curriculum, for example, and they talk about OSPF, in the book, they summarize it. And they do a darn good job. But what you really need to do is you need to go to the IETF.org, the Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF.org, and you need to read the relevant RFCs or requests for comments. Now, these RFCs or requests for comments are the actual spec of all the protocols. Read that. Read the OSPF specs, the intermediate system specs, all the BGP specs, all the DNS specs, all the ARP specs, the DHCP specs. Read it all. The BGP specifications, and trust me, this is going to give you a laundry list of leading. And here's some really good news. It's all free. Read the white papers on the Cisco website, the white papers on the Juniper website. These are papers that organizations write to show transformation and also help sell their products. But read them from those two vendors. Now you got real knowledge, And find a Linux computer. I think it's GNU3 that you can use. Personally, I have an EVNG set up, the industrial enterprise version that we use because we're more of a training company, and get some hands-on practice with that. And then practice the following. When you talk about BGP, what is BGP? How does it work? Why should you use it? Please do my free BGP workshop from yesterday, because that'll get you something that's critical and it's going to go into that you probably may not get so easily out of the books because it's challenging. That's how you take networking. And if you like networking, I think it's great. We actually helped a gentleman named Osman, and I think he was in Lagos, which is Nigeria, which is close, but not there, getting his first networking job. But he learned those things. Now, if it's cloud security, you need to learn security. This is going to be a harder first job, but you can do it. Here, what you need to do is you need to learn firewalls and what they do. You can go to Cisco, Checkpoint, Palo Alto, Fortinet. They will teach you a lot. Then you can you need to learn about the IDS, IPS systems. All that's there. Then you need to learn about security frameworks. You can look at the NIST framework, etc. Then you need to learn about anti-social engineering and anti-malware protection, kind of things like that. Then you need to learn about vulnerability management, maybe a little bit of Kali Linux, writing security policies, security education itself. And what you could do is you could look at the CISSP book as a framework of things to learn, but realize that's going to be a mile wide and an inch deep. And then when they talk about a technology like a firewall in the book, realize that that's 2% of what you need to know, and then go fill in the gaps from the Cisco website, the Palo Alto website, the Fortinet website, etc. And do that for everything in there. In the end, it's going to cost you 15,000 to 25,000 pages of reading, much of which you can do for free. But that's what it takes to be good. Now, here's the thing. When it's your first job, you're hard to hire. And I want you to make this very clear. When somebody hires somebody, we look 50% at their skills for the job, and the remaining 50% at the attitude, energy, enthusiasm, passion, willingness to go above and beyond, and being a team player. Make sure you've got that down. Practice your interviews, and you'll get hired. May even do another free interview practice session at some point soon. So make sure you sign up, hit the bell, subscribe and hit the bell, follow us, and I've got some more free things coming your way. Videos to view, thank you so much. Highly recommend your content. Indeed, appreciate it so much, and thank you. Ashraf, hello. You were trying to find well-established and real designs and architecture documents. If you try to do this, you will learn how to design things that are not going to be relevant for your customers. You will be damaging your customers' business and hurting them. In order to do a real architecture, you need to develop the business acumen to be able to speak to the company's executives and find out about their business problems. Must. Then you need to develop the technical acumen to understand their network and data center. And when you know how to do that, you know how to do a design. If all you look for is reference architectures, I promise you this, you're going to develop a cookie cutter solution, which is going to hurt your customers. So I don't advise you trying to do that. I advise you learning how to be an architect. Now, imagine an architect for a building that said, here, I need to know, here's a picture for a hotel, and I'm going to base every other hotel on that. But one hotel's the Burj Al Arab in Dubai, which is, trust me, it's gorgeous in there. I've been there, it's beautiful. And another hotel is a Motel 6 where you want to spend like 20 bucks a night or 30 bucks a night to just stay there. Burj Al Arab, Motel 6, best Western. They're not the same business. So if you just look at established architectures, you're not going to know what to do. So imagine now somebody wants a 2,000 meter tall building, and you've been looking at reference architectures for 6-story high buildings. They're not related. When you got a building this big, you got to factor in wind because it gets windy. What's going on with the clouds up there? What kind of electrical storms are coming in? And lightning, because it's going to get hit. Do we need helipads? That changes everything. So when you try to put a round peg in a square hole, it doesn't work so nicely. An architect is trying to fit a lock and key. You want it to fit perfectly. That's what you're looking for. So you need to go to each customer in each case. That's why with my students, we do 2 architecture designs per week. One's a big retailer. One's a hospital. One's a finance company. One's an investment bank. And each time the requirements have changed because I've done thousands of architectures in my career, and they're all different. So I wouldn't want you to train a pilot to do only take off and land the plane. I want the pilot to know what happens if an engine is lost. What happens if an engine gets caught on fire? What happens if there's a bomb in the back? What kind of theoretical things can they do? What happens if the turbulence is there? What happens when somebody has a heart attack? What happens, etc., etc., etc. So that's what you need to know, and not look for real designs for somebody else's architecture because they're not going to be yours. Kristen, go to the next one. Remember, as an architect, you are a digital transformation specialist. You're paid and hired to make a company's business better. You can't make one company's business better by doing what you did for another business because all different businesses have different people, processes, technology, pain points, and challenges. Now, Chris, you can go to the next one. Marisa, what do you think will change in the AWS Solution Architect Associate as the old one will be replaced? Such minor differences. There's a couple percent different. Nothing to worry about. If you understand it, one, you'll be able to pass the other. Don't worry about it. It's kind of like the Who song, Meet the New Boss. Same as the old boss. It's the same thing. I've retaken so many revisions of exams. It's no different. It's kind of like when you buy a shirt and one shirt has this kind of collar and a year later the collar is a little bigger, but you put the shirt on the same way. We've looked at the differences in the curriculum and it's so minor. If you take our completely free AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate course next week, you will learn so much that's above and beyond this. Get a practice test and you'll be good to go easily. So don't worry about it so much. Christian, go to the next one. I think we have a lot of people here. While we're at it, you can be a hashtag cloud architect or cloud engineer or hashtag solution architect with the job you desire. Rain, for the cloud engineer program that's not live, are the labs time sensitive? Rain, the cloud engineer program is not something we teach not live. It's all live. It's a combination of live classes 3 times per week, and projects that you do, as homework assignments that you do that graded for feedback, and cloud engineering projects. Lots of Linux projects, for example, some little scripts you may be writing, lots of implementation. Heck, you're going to be even building your own cloud in our program from scratch. But we don't have a 9 live version of our cloud engineering program. Now, if you miss a class or the class is at the wrong time, it's recorded and you can rewatch it later. But we don't have a non-live version of our our cloud engineer program. So that's not the case. So you're asking about a program we don't have. But we do have an incredible cloud engineering program. The feedback's been amazing from the students. I hired somebody that worked at one of the biggest Linux companies to develop our Linux materials, at least internally. So we have an incredible, incredible, incredible cloud engineering program. But we don't have a not live version of it. Chris, you can go to the next one when it's convenient for you. And please hit the like, comment, subscribe. Tell a friend. We can get them hired too. Loudwire. Hi, Mike. I have a BS in computer science. Okay. And you've been working help desk and you want to pursue a cloud architect role ASAP. And if you guys have some questions, please ask them. Is it doable to study for the CSA and CISSP? You have a lot of free time. Loudwire, you can completely do those things at the same time. They're very simple to do, but that won't get you hired as a cloud architect. And here's the reason why. We cloud architects design, present, and sell. Now, if you've been working in help desk, and I like help desk people, you will not get hired as an architect without substantial changes in your brand. And I didn't make the rules, and I don't feel this way, but most hiring managers and the brand of a help desk person is somebody that sits behind a desk. They're a little cranky. You call them. In fact, there's actually a show in England about it where they call the help desk people and they feel like not answering the phone and they give them a one-word answer. That's the brand. Now, the reality is you're solving people's problems and helping people every single day and talking to people and communicating to people. All incredibly great things, which do translate to the cloud architect role. But the problem as a help desk person, your brand is that as a techie. And the brand of a cloud architect is an executive, a leader, etc. So you're going to have to do two things. First is you're going to have to learn the architect job, and that is not covered in the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional or the CISSP. Not even one bit. And you're also, because you've got an engineer brand, you're going to have to change it. So when you talk about dealing with trouble tickets, and I need somebody that can design, present, and spell, I'm speaking English and you're speaking Greek to me, and we're not communicating on. We don't want to see that on the resume. So what you're going to have to do is the following. You're going to have to translate your resume. For example, what was the impact that you did on the company's performance? Did you create a new ticketing system which decreased the time to fix customer problems by 11%? That's an architect thing. Did you do some consulting and you found a common customer problem and wrote up documentation so future people won't have that same problem, reducing the number of help desk calls? That's architecture, not the tech piece. Now, Loudwire, the next thing that you need to understand is we architects don't touch the technology. Now, what's covered in all these AWS certifications is the name of the technology service and how to configure that service. But architects don't do that, ever. We design, present, and sell. So what you need to learn is BGP and OSPF and WAN technologies, such as IPsec tunnels, SSL-based VPNs, software-defined networking, SASE, private lines, Ethernet over MPLS, pseudo-ARC kind of extension. That's the kind of stuff you need to know about. Switching technologies of VLANs, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, etc. Spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, and none of that's covered in these basic certifications you talked about. And then you need to understand ARP and DNS and DHCP and proxy ARP, because you're going to have to design it. You're not hands-on where you just need to know the name of commands. You need to know how to design it, which means you need to know how all this stuff works. So right now, I just gave you a minimum 10,000 pages of reading you need to know. And then you need to have competency in server virtualization and containers and container orchestration and block storage, file storage, etc., object storage. And then you need to know about what kind of databases to use, and it's not going to be the ones that are covered in your certification course. Then you need to know how to secure it. Next generation firewalls and IPS systems and VPN concentrators. That's the tech stuff that you need to know. But because you're going to be meeting with CEOs, and nobody wants an engineer to meet with the CEO, you're going to have to learn how to be an executive, which means you're going to need to develop CXO relevancy. Hi, I'm here to sell you a next generation firewall. You're fired right there on the spot. Hi, I'm Mike. I'm with Cisco, the world's greatest technology company, and I'm here to build your security systems so you don't get hacked. You're speaking a different language. You must speak that language. Now, Livewire, we may be a little geeky and love tech, but businesses don't buy tech because they want to. They buy it to solve a business problem. So you need to be able to read a balance sheet, read a financial statement, see what industry analysts are saying, and hear what the CEO tells you about their business, hear what the CFO tells you about their business, hear what the CIO tells you about their business. Be able to translate that into an architecture. And then you need to be able to translate those requirements to the engineers that are going to go build it for you. So if you've got a lot of free time, that's what you need to learn. None of these things are covered in certifications. And that's why we created our program, because I interviewed 1,000 AWS certified people. None of them could be an architect. And here's the reason why. Certification is the name of a service and how to configure that service. And what we do is design, present, and sell. Now, we would happily train you to do this. If you're not with us, you can do the following. You can get those business acumen skills in an MBA program. You can take some leadership training courses. You can take some executive presence training courses. You can take some presentation skills courses. You can take some negotiation courses, because you're going to need all of it for this. You are going to need a resume rewriter to translate your, your current techie resume to an architect resume. You're going to need to learn negotiation skills. Now, you can take these courses on your own, and it'll cost you a good $50,000. You can take our course, which costs less than $1,000, because I don't need to work. And this is a charitable course for the most part that we're running. And we charge a little more than our costs because we have the best team in the world. I've got 4 people with master's degrees on my team out of 7. And we do this because these are the kind of skills that are there. So that's what you need to do. And yes, you can get a cloud architect job. You sure can, you sure can, you sure can. But you can't just do it by certifications. Could you do those certifications at the same time? Yeah. I had a student that did both of them in 2 weeks. Then we trained her. But that's not going to be the path that's going to be successful for you. Chris, let's go to the next one. Sheila, thank you so much, Mike. You got a lot from my hands. Good. Now you know exactly what you need to do. Tell me when you're hired. I'm so excited. Raven Sam, solutions architect. I love that. Bob, cloud hired. Fallon Jackson, cloud architect. Excellent. Mr. Businessman over there in Atlanta, cloud hired. LM, cloud hired. Excellent. Raven Sabbath, cloud hired. I love that. Reese, cloud solution architect. Love that. LM, I'm just here to hit the elbow cuff. Love that. Thank you so much, LM. Victor, cloud architect. Thank you so much. We'll get you there. Derek, do you offer a career development program specifically designed for cloud security architect? Okay, Derek, you just mentioned architect and engineer in the same sentence. They're completely different jobs. When people hire an architect, they do not want an engineer. And when people hire an engineer, they don't want an architect. I do not train cloud security engineers. I train cloud security architects in our cloud architect career development program. When every student enters our program, they develop a career development plan. And on this career development program, they tell us, I want to be a cloud network architect, a cloud security architect, a cloud architect, an enterprise architect, etc. Then we build a plan customized for them. Now, how deep do we train our security? Well, I just got somebody another cloud security architect job just the other day, coming straight out of our career development program. So we can easily get you a cloud security architect program, but you can't be a cloud architect and a cloud engineer at the same time. You can't be a security architect and a security engineer. Derek, a security architect, designs, presents, and sells the security solutions. The engineer does the hands-on configuration, completely different job. One must focus on how it works, and one must focus on how to do it. So yes, we make cloud security architects, but not cloud security engineers. Totally different careers, not our focus. Rain Veins. The cloud engineer program live session will be during your work hours. Can you still participate? Of course you can. We record every class, and you can do it you can watch it anytime you desire. But you can still jump into the class to ask them questions. And the engineering is so much more technical than the architecture. We didn't want to make a non-live version yet until we got, until we get cloud hires every single day with it, because we want to know that our engineers get hired. And it's so much more technical to be an engineer than an architect. An architect's much more executive, and it lends itself much better, at least right now for us, to the live session. So you can always do that. Watch the recorded classes, because we record every single class. And then if you're struggling with something, take off for an hour from work and go to it. Or jump into the class for 15 minutes, ask your questions, get answers, and then go back to work and watch the rest of the replay later. But I want to know that you can get in there. But of course you can still do it. And yes, before we had the non-live version of our Cloud Architect Career Development Program, we had so many people that worked full-time and still got hired. They came to a class if they could, and if they didn't, they just watched all the replays. And we've gotten plenty of people that only watch the replays get hired too. You can still participate, and you'll do great. Attendance is not mandatory, but we prefer you to come. But what we do care is that you do the work, because buying a course doesn't get you hired. Buying the right course like ours and doing the work, that will get you hired. Reverend Sam, what can cause a solution architect to earn below $100,000, and what can make them higher? Is it experience or geographic location? It's a lot of things. So Reverend Sam, I'm going to tell you, 20 years ago, I had a manager. I was in a CISSP class. I fell asleep because I was so bored. Tapped me on the shoulder, drags me out of the class, and he says to me, Mike, first, here's a bonus. And he says, your team complains about you all the time because they come to the office all day and complain about you not being here, and you go to the customer site every single day, and the customer's 5 minutes from your house, and they're all spending 2 hours a day going to the office, commuting, because it was in a part of town with a lot of traffic. And he said, my manager says to me, don't come to the office, keep going on site. And then my manager says to me the following. He says, do you know the difference between a $150,000 sales engineer like you and a $300,000 enterprise architect? I'm like, tell me. So he says, it has nothing to do with your technical skills. Stop doing certifications. He said, it has to do with the impact you make on your customer, which means your leadership skills, your emotional intelligence, your executive presence, your CXO relevancy, your sales skills and capability. He said your ability to persuade and influence people. He said your negotiation skills. He said, learn that. You'll be a $300,000 architect. Guess what? About a year and a half later, I was a $300,000 architect because he told me exactly what to do. Maybe it was like a $280,000, but the same thing. And because it was like 20 years ago. So that was real money back then. It's still money now, but it was huge amounts of money back then. That was the difference. I'm going to tell you right now, geography matters. I was sitting in my house in Florida, and somebody about a year ago, and someone offered me well over $300,000 to support a customer in Japan, but I had to stay up at night. It was 4 hours a day, but I still wasn't doing it because I like my sleep at night. But there was that. I don't need to work. But you can get remote jobs that pay well, but your geography does have a major impact on your salary. What I will earn in my home in Greece is going to be substantially less than what I would earn in my house in Palm Beach, Florida, which is substantially less than what not now, but in the old days, it would be substantially less than what I would earn in New York City. So geography has a factor, and supply and demand curves have a factor, and your exact skills have a factor. So the more architects there are, the less they get paid. Now, the reality is there's so many open architect positions, it's going to probably take 15 to 20 years before we get there. And the cloud's still in its infancy. I've been working on cloud since 1996, and they're getting better. Just yesterday, AWS had a massive press release. Now through Transit Gateway with flow logs, you can actually see your traffic. And it's like, me and about 15 other CCIs looked at this post, and it came from a principal architect at AWS and went, wait, did they just claim victory over something Cisco did in 2000? And it's our usual chuckle. And they said, yes. That's how far back this cloud is. The things we did 20 years ago are starting to make it to the major cloud providers. Last year, it was AWS. We now allow routing between east-west routing, and they used east-west routing instead of routing between subnets. Again, all the CCIs started laughing and said, didn't we do that in 1985 at Cisco? So we've got so much more we can go. And here's the thing, Reverend Sama. Imagine telling a CEO, I got this new feature for you. You can now route between subnets. I just saw a press release. And the CEO would look at you, the CIO would say, yeah, I did that 25 years ago, 35 years ago. So this is no innovation here. Now, don't think I don't love the cloud. I love the cloud. Don't think I don't love AWS. I love AWS. Don't think I don't think AWS has smart people. I love the people there. They are incredibly great people. All I'm talking about is having the knowledge and the competency to do your job. And the person that has that competency gets paid more. And I'm going to tell you the last thing. It's very common for me to get students their first architect job around $150,000. And it's also pretty common to me when I've got someone that's got a background in tech that has no idea what architecture is, and we retrain them to be an architect, and we polish out their resume and makes it look like you have experience to get a $300,000 job offer. So that's another impact there. But really, it's about your skill in your job. And for architects, there's this. Now I'm going to tell you one other thing. When it comes to these jobs, understand that soft skills training on average raises somebody's salary by 30%. In industrialized nations like the US, emotional intelligence training raises somebody's salary by $29,600. So think about these two in combination for somebody in the US. You've got an architect that on average earns $150,000. They train soft skills, which on average raises their salary by $55,000 a year, and emotional intelligence, which adds another $30,000 to their salary. Now, that's $80,000 a year. Over the course of 30 years, that's $2.4 million. So train the right skills and you'll be in good shape. You're concluding with the SA exams but have no idea how to design yet. Yes, Reverend Sama, these certification exams don't cover anything related to the architect job. They should be called the cloud admin certification, because cloud admins know the name of the service and how to configure it. Cloud engineers, these certifications aren't good enough for a cloud engineer because that's more of a professional. And they don't have anything to do with the cloud architect who designs, presents, and sells. That's why we created our program, because there's nothing in there that's related to that. Zero, nothing. Reverend Sama, is it bad for the salary to be my motivation, or must you love the job to succeed in this? Well, you must love the job. And here's the problem. When we go on an interview, people sense your authenticity. It's clear to anybody that knows me, I love getting people hired. Everybody knows it. I love it, or I wouldn't do it. When I worked in networking and I went on my first job, and there was this nice guy, his name was Devendra, he was a Punjabi guy. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I told him, he asked me to tell him about myself. And I told him that I was highly energetic, highly enthusiastic, highly motivated, and I love technology. That I used to lock myself in a room and do labs in my house and spend $30,000 a year on servers, workstations, and routers because it was my passion. 6 hours a day for years because it was cool to me. And then if I would be part of his team, I would do anything, stay up all night if I had to learn something. He felt it. Now, I love what I do. I love it. So here's the thing. Imagine a job which you constantly need to learn. Constantly. Every day you have to read and learn and read and learn and read and learn because things constantly change. Now, if you love what you do, it's going to be fun for you. If you don't like it, you're not going to be there. Now, it's okay to be motivated to change the life of your family and to be motivated to earn more. That's great. But you still have to love the job. I'm going to tell you something else. It's a little secret. You can earn money at anything if you're great at it. You really can. I know artists that they focus on it all day long, that earn lots of money. I know yoga instructors, which are typically, one paycheck away from homelessness, that earn a lot of money because they love it, love it, love it. It's all they do, and they live, breathe, and sleep. How do they make their organization better? I know people from all walks of life, but I do believe in your life it does matter if you care about what you do. So I've recently hired a few people. I hire people all the time. But here's what I look for. I look for someone that's energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate about the work. Why? Because I don't want to be miserable in their job. Because if they are, they're going to make the rest of my team miserable. I look for people that love what they do. Here's something else. I don't even care if you have half the skills. I care because, and I'll give you an example. I've hired people with no skills whatsoever. I heard this one guy, I like to call him Avi. It's not his real name. He was an Israeli guy, but I like to call him Avi because it's a common name. And he comes on this interview, and I remember interviewing him. He came in, and his attitude was the greatest thing. First thing he said to me is, Mike, oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. All I've ever wanted to be is a network engineer, and I am so thankful that I'm here talking to you today. And I asked him a tough question about networking, and he knew nothing. Asked him another one, and he knew nothing. Asked him another thing, and I knew nothing. And then I asked him what he did know. He said, I know a lot about Windows NT 4.0. I said, have you done large deployments? And he says, no, I've done a 5 years of deployment at my synagogue. And I went, okay. And I said, tell me about this. Tell me about this. Tell me about this. And I did this. And he knew. And I remember me and my buddy Gary going to our manager saying, we need to hire Avi. And my manager says, does Avi know networking? And we're like, no. And my manager says, does Avi know this? And we said, no. And my manager says, do we know this? And my manager says, no. I said, oh, by the way, there's one more thing. Avi needs to leave at 1 p.m. every Friday because he's got a 3-hour commute home and he has to be home by sundown for the Sabbath. And my manager says, why? Are we bringing on somebody that knows nothing? And me and my buddy Gary said, because he's got the best attitude, energy, enthusiasm, and he loves it. And I know he's going to be great. Not only did he survive and thrive in that job, he became the CEO of a company that designs and builds Chromebooks and distributes it over the developing world. And he's brought modern computers to people that never could have afforded it. And I am so thankful that I hired Avi, and I'm so thankful for what he did. That's based on love. Okay, I can do one more question according to my team because of the other meetings we have next to this. I will tell you one thing, though, Reverend Simon, real quick. Your background, if you're giving sermons, which are speeches, and you're tending to your flock, that might be a strategic advantage in terms of communication skills that you could then use towards architecture. Even more. I've been following since last week. Now the clear picture on what you need to focus on. Excellent, even more. That's exactly what we do. Loudwire, thanks. You're more than welcome. Tell me when you get hired, or if you'd like, we can train you to get hired. Will being clergy affect your chances of being hired? Well, here's the thing. Certain skills from clergy are amazing. Presentations, sales, come to the thing. When somebody's down, you know how to cheer them up. If you do that right, that will really help you. But I would advise you this. Don't go overly crazy talking about that on your social media posts because, there's some people that like that background and some people that don't like that background. You're never going to please all people all the time. But the key is talk about presentation skills, which you've gleaned from that. It's going to make you better. Talk about the ability to lead a large group. That's going to make you better. Show those things that you've done, which are the same for the new job. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Leverage your past experience to show the hiring manager you have new experience. You're dealing with people all the time. People come to you with problems generally for those in clergy. Family problems, challenges, and you do the best to solve them, right? That's architecture. You deliver all kinds of sermons, which are speeches. Half of what you do as an architect is give presentations. So much of what you're already doing is actually architect work. You just don't even know it. So if you sell it right, and I've worked with clergy before, and they've done well too, you'll be in good shape. Okay, well, we've reached the end of the time that I have today. Just got to go train our students and do a few other things and make sure my students are doing great, 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 great. We will be back to answer your questions on Monday. Let's talk about some things that we can do that you can sign up for. On Monday, we will have another question and answer session. Please sign up. Or please join us on our YouTube channel. And on Tuesday through Friday, we will have a completely free AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate course. And we will be talking about more than the name of the service and how to configure that service. We will go into what is the tech, how does it work, and why you should use it, and you'll be much better prepared for interviews. It's completely free. Register for the link in the description below. While we're at it, follow me on LinkedIn and follow Go Cloud Careers on LinkedIn. We have about 10 interview question blog articles that are coming out to help you with your cloud architect and solution architect interviews. And we have so many new things that we're going to be releasing, what to do, what to learn, mistakes to avoid. So please follow me on LinkedIn. My team and I are now focusing on LinkedIn in addition to YouTube. And we're going to be producing so much content to help you get your first cloud architect job, your first cloud engineer job, help you earn more money, help you get promoted in tech. So please follow us. And take care. I'm Michael Gibbs. I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers. I've been working in tech now for over 25 years and helping others get their first tech job or get promoted in tech for 20 years. And I want to help you too. If you're looking to get cloud hired, we've got a cloud architect career development program to get you your first cloud architect job. And we have a cloud engineer career development program to help you get your first cloud engineering job. See you very soon. Take care, everybody. Thank you all.